Hey y'all, David Petty with TX Natives here. We're out here in East Plano at a yard that we just finished up yesterday. Super unique lot that we're dealing with. We've got a dead end facing west. We back up to a horse farm, and then we've got shade that sets in starting at 10 a.m. under these mature oak trees that we've got. And so in an HOA neighborhood, kind of a zero tolerance policy for mud spots and no grass, and this whole space was basically mud, except for a few random sprouts of Bermuda and St. Augustine that somehow managed to make it through in the shade. So I just want to walk and talk through this space a little bit, help you understand a little bit of what we do with space planning, talk through some of the beds and just different design considerations and challenges that we had, and then we'll wrap up. So come on this way. As you can see, coming up through here, we've got beds, we've got walkways. First thing though with planning out a space is we really want to start to consider like, hey, what is the family into? What's going to create the most enjoyment for them? What are the relationships like in their life? Do they have kids? Do they have pets? Do they host a lot? Do they, just what are all the factors about them that's really going to make this space shine through? And so that's where first things first is figuring out where are they going to spend a majority of their time. And so even right now, you might be able to hear it a little bit as we move to this space. Like I said, this was all mud. This was almost kind of what you see over here. This just kind of wild looking vines and thistles and briars just popping up, very muddy. But what's unique is this sits up on a hill overlooking this horse farm. Southeast is that way. That's where we have our prevailing winds coming in. And so even right now, it's 100 degrees out and it feels awesome. So you got breezes coming in from here, over here, and then we've got a view out away from the dead end, looking back towards the house, kids' play area on the swings. There's another swing set over here. And so this is gonna serve as the anchor for our space as we start to consider, okay, what do we actually do from here? So if you walk this way with me, we're gonna head over to the east part of their yard, which actually east for them is where they receive the most sun. So, we're trying to think around beds like, okay, we've got this eastern bed that receives a whole lot of sun. We've got these middle beds that receive part sun to part shade. And then we've got a heavily shaded area over that way. And so this is where we're like, this right here is kind of the palette that we love to play with the most. This yard's a little bit the exception with all the shade, even though in Dallas trees are maturing and more shade's coming into a lot of people's yards, but people still have typically really harsh sun. So on days like this week we're hitting 105. So we put in a lot of drought tolerant native plants. We put in well-adapted perennials. And this bed I love because what's gonna happen, right? We gotta consider what plants, this is newly planted, but plants take about 3 to 5 years to actually mature and grow up. So we've got to think about, okay, what's this space really gonna look and feel like over the long haul? So it's a little unsightly. This is kind of this alleyway entrance. Neighbors and even the family, when they're coming home, this is what they see. So we want this to pop with color. We want it to be interesting. We've got this boulder bed down here that we're lining. We've got Russian sage right here that's gonna grow 3 to 4 feet tall, kind of create a little bit of a barrier. We've got this amazing dwarf fountain grass called Himeln. So it's a smaller fountain grass. It's less messy than typical fountain grasses. We've got awesome 4-nerve daisy. It's one of our most resilient flowers in Texas. Blooms yellow, they'll kind of mound. You find these out near Fort Worth a lot. They can grow in like really rocky terrain. They're amazing, need very little water. Down here we've actually got, this is an Adams yucca, but this cultivar is called Color Guard. So they're yellow ones. You'll see them in a lot of landscaping projects. They'll kind of get to about 2 to 3 feet tall. They'll look amazing. Over here, this is one of my favorites right now. So this is red yucca, but this is a dwarf red yucca. So if you're in Dallas going along 75, or really any of our highways in DFW, you'll see a lot of red yucca. But the common species grows to 4 to 6 feet tall. They're big, and a lot of people don't realize there's actually a dwarf cultivar. This one's called Brakelights. There's also one called Stoplights. They're the same thing pretty much, but they only get 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. And so this is gonna be really nice in this space. It starts blooming in the dead heat of summer. Hummingbirds come up to it. We've got our Mexican feathergrass, which is nice. It's a kind of a very small ornamental grass, but Mexican feathergrass we like to add because you can see right now it's moving. It is hot out. your eye, when you start to see that movement, even when it's hot and sticky and humid, it takes very little breeze for this to move, you're gonna physically feel cooler. There's a psychological impact versus just a green boxwood that just holds still in the dead heat. So we like to layer these in. Plus, it's just a good kind of cover that'll grow up over time, help kind of round this space out. Over here, this is Artemisia, Powis Castle. These get pretty big, so this is well adapted perennial. It'll kind of fill in this space. We got blues that pop, so you've got red, blue, yellow. This is a radio red Salvia Greggii, also known as autumn sage here in Texas. They're native, tons of colors, tons of sizes available. This will kind of grow up and fill in this space. We've got Dwarf Muhly here. So it's newly planted, so it's a little droopy. It'll start to pop up over time, and then we love these because it's really in fall. They shoot off these really pretty pink plumes. You'll see these all the way from the Gulf Coast in Texas all the way to Florida. Really fun ornamental grass. Over here we've got milkweed. Earlier we had butterflies on this. There's a little monarch caterpillar over here, which is kind of fun. That, you know, we're a day into this yard and there's already wildlife and pollinators coming in. So we got our purples, our reds, blue, yellow, oranges coming in. We want color and year-round interest. Over here, these are black-eyed Susans. This one needs a little water, a little more love, but that's all right. And then over here on the kind of this harsher side that we get, this will take a little while to grow up, but this is pink skullcap, also native, really special plant that we like to put in a lot of our designs. And then so as we start to make our way through, like I said, this was all mud, and typically a lot of our grasses, Bermuda, zoysia, what have you, they need a lot of sun. And what a lot of people don't understand, there's different cultivars of all these grasses. So you can go out and look for different ones that survive in Dallas, but one that we use a lot, and like I said, we like to help people rip sod out and put in plants, but you still need to create balance in a space. And so grass acts as a really good negative space, helps make the home a little bit more inviting when you're first approaching it. But this is called Amerishade St. Augustine. It's the most shade tolerant St. Augustine cultivar that we have. And so it takes a little while to get established. It's not as quick as other St. Augustines, but once this gets going, it's gonna do awesome in this shade that really is here from 10 a.m. onwards. And so then if we start tracking back, up here, like I said, there's a secondary swing set. Used to be total mud. Dad loves to push the kiddos here, and so we wanted to create a kind of flagstone walkway through here. And then we entered it into these partial shade, partial sun beds. So we get a lot of shade right now. Come 12 or 1, we're gonna get more intense sun over there. And so we're just trying to think, what are some of the best options? And so through here, we've got wood fern, which is awesome. Wood fern is native to East Texas. It's one of really, there's wood fern and autumn fern. Those are the kind of two ferns that you want to play with most, especially if you want to stick with natives. This one's going to come back year after year, and it will actually really fill in the space nicely. And then this, we use this a lot too. It's just a crowd pleaser. It's also native, but Mexican dwarf Petunia. It's a real pretty purple flower. Sometimes they'll shoot off white flowers too, but adds kind of a lush look that complements the wood fern really nicely. Then over here, these are overused a lot. The typical, these are Nandinas, and Nandinas are used a lot. And they're not native, they're from Asia, but this is a cultivar called Flirt, and we like it because it remains low. It only grows about 1.5 feet to 2 feet tall and wide, and shoots off a really vibrant red. So you've got these greens, you have the reds that pop, and this is gonna be real pretty come fall, and especially wintertime when these start to take shape a little bit more. And then as we make our way over here, a lot of the same ones you see, right? We're trying to repeat plants throughout, so you're kind of tying the whole design together. This is verbena. We did a purple variety. There's a native prairie verbena that does really well in full sun, but this one does a little bit better in shade. We got creeping germander. It's a little silvery, a little more blue, so that'll mound up and kind of fill in. We got that scattered throughout here. We've got our hamel again. Right, like I said, you want to repeat things throughout. And then down here we've got Plumbago. This is hardy Plumbago. So there's a Cape Plumbago, which or Plumbago, some people say that, but the Cape one is native to Africa, and it's pretty, but it's tropical, and it's a light blue. But this is the hardy one that's got a darker, more intense, almost purple blue hue to it. And then this one's special because it'll fill in this space, but then come fall, it turns an awesome kind of burgundy color that'll be special in these beds and play well with the Flirt Nandinas. Then we continue along. So we're always anchoring ourselves back to these 2 black chairs. That's where mom and dad are spending most time, enjoying this space. We're thinking about, hey, you know, as fun as it is to have a really pretty garden and a beautiful yard, we also want to make it productive. God blessed us with herbs and all sorts of things that we can eat, and so we like to put in a rosemary and thyme. Over there we've got basil, we've got oregano that's going to thrive in that sun. We put them on the edges so it's accessible for whoever the chef is at home. Come out, snip a little bit at night before they cook something up. If you buy rosemary in Texas, at least in Dallas, Prostrata is kind of a spreading, creeping one, and it's going to be one of our most cold tolerant rosemaries. Not all rosemaries are created equal, especially when it comes to the cold. Then along here, we got some black-eyed Susans, right? That repeats from that design over there. Here is one of my favorite plants. This is Dwarf Palmetto. It'll grow up to be about 3 feet wide, maybe 2 feet high. Native to Texas. You find these once again, East Texas all the way to Gulf Coast in Florida. They grow up under pine trees typically, but we love them because they tolerate just about anything, from extreme heat, cold, to being very wet after, say, hurricanes or something like that, to very dry, almost drought-like conditions here in Dallas. This is a rock star, and it'll grow up and kind of create a little bit of a barrier, so we have a little bit more privacy throughout here in this space. Then we come along. Now, this is one of my favorite areas, right? So the owner, he's got his office kind of right inside. You know, they're always stepping out on their front porch, kids, you know, taking the dogs on walks, that sort of thing. But you can see this area is just accumulated lawn clippings and mud, and it's pretty wild just from wild seeds. And what we want to do is we want to complement nature, but we want to soften this space. And so the way we do that is by using ornamental grasses. So once again, Dwarf found grass. Over here on this back side, we've got Lindheimer Muhly. It looks small right now. That'll go up to about my neck. And then over here on the edges, we've got little Bluestem. That's one of our favorites right now. So little Bluestem is this really pretty green blue foliage in spring and summer, but then come fall and winter, boom, it turns this kind of vibrant orange, red, burgundy look. It's awesome. And so you're gonna have interest, but also kind of a hedge that blocks out just this mud and leaves and all this stuff. And then also the hope is that it blocks out some of the seeds and some of the growth of these nastier vines with thorns that we don't want in the yard. And then another one of our favorites. This is American Beautyberry. So native to Texas. You can see right here, it's got really amazing, vibrant purple berries. These are edible. You can make jams and all sorts of stuff out of these. We thought it'd be fun for the kids, you know, when they grow up or as they're growing up, that they can come pick this. They can do different recipes, things like that with mom and dad. And then, like I said, a couple other small plants. Creeping germander will just help fill in the space. And then, right, just anchoring ourselves once again back to the kind of the core space. So we're thinking through visually what's going on over here. You can see it's a harsh line with the fence. You've got the horse fence on the right that's just got a bunch of vines. So, you know, typically when you're walking in a neighborhood and if a house feels weird to you or something's off, what a lot of people don't realize is part of why you do landscaping is to soften those lines. Harsh lines make us as humans just feel it's like an off-putting sense a little bit. And so what you try to do is you put plants that are gonna soften all these lines. So we couldn't put anything really big right there on that corner just due to some of these root systems from the trees. So we went with the wood fern there. But then over here, this is Turks Cap. Amazing, amazing plant that's gonna grow up, shoot off really pretty tight little red flowers. It's a native plant. They look like miniature hibiscuses. They're related to the hibiscus family. You get hummingbirds coming in on them awesome plant, super hardy, kind of like Dwarf Palmetto, kind of like Beautyberry. It's these plants that tolerate just about anything Dallas and DFW area can throw at it. So that'll be neat. But you know, end of the day, we're thinking, all right, plants, God created them. They glorify Him. They help us connect with nature. And end of the day, this is an area that we want to be relational. So when you're sitting here, we just want to think about, hey, where are we getting breeze from? What are we seeing? How are the plants actually making us feel? What are the plants gonna look like over time? How big are they gonna be? Water consideration, runoff consideration. What's the flow of water? How are kids gonna use the space? We're just thinking through all those elements. And you know, we love this because this is where relationships actually happen. And if you can create an inviting space, get yourself away from your computer, your TV, whatever, that's what makes this work special. And this is why we do what we do. We love doing this stuff. So if y'all ever want to work with us, let us know. We'd be happy to serve you. Thanks.